Shall we begin?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the More Than Just Keto podcast. This is season 2, episode 7, and I am one of your hosts, Molly.
Hello, friends, and welcome back. I'm your other host, Ashley. And today we have a very special guest. We have Jenni. You might know her as Keto Jenni Rae. She is a huge inspiration and a big part of our community on Instagram.
Hi, everyone. It's Jenni. I'm really happy to be here today, and I'm honored to be your first guest.
Oh, we're so happy that you're here and that you said yes, because the people wanted you. And we got to give the people what
they voted
want.
for you.
Yes. Jenni, you've been for 3 years in this Instagram community that we met each other in, that you, me, and Ashley all met one another in. And I've been following you now for well over 2 years, almost 3. So I know, and Ashley knows a lot of your journey. You were a professional dieter. Can you talk more about that and what you experienced?
Yeah, I would say from the time, going back to childhood, I was thin. My tinkering around with dieting started probably as a teenager, because while I was thin to the point of being overweight, that's when I would experiment with, okay, well, I'm not going to eat for a few days. So it would start as far back as that, silly things like drinking vinegar or just dumb, unhealthy diets. Then when I got to college, I steadily gained weight through college, and I made close to no effort to lose any weight. And like I said, here and there, my roommates would do the cabbage soup diet or whatever crappy diet there was. I would tinker around with exercise, but I was never really committed to that. And then I got married, and in playing house, I just gained and cooking and drinking and just having all the fun. Then in my late 20s, I found a program that's in Michigan called Medical Weight Loss Clinic. And it was a very, very strict, little to no fat, no
Is
starch.
that like an Atkins style diet? Is that kind of what that would be similar to, or no?
It was similar in that it was a high protein, but low fat, but complex carbs was very high. So you had to have like 4 servings a day of vegetables, 4 servings a day of fruit. But the total calorie count was anywhere from 900 to 1,100 calories a day.
Holy cow.
And for someone who's 5'7", relatively active at that point, I was around 200 pounds. That's
a major deficit.
Very challenging. And it was very expensive. And I would go in, and the girls looking back had no idea what they were doing. The girls that were supposed to be counseling me, the things I've learned now in this journey, like I just can't believe that it was so unhealthy. So I did it. Now I'll tell you, it was effective, as any low calorie diet would be. Effective doesn't mean comfortable though. I would go to bed with my stomach growling, and I would cry, or I would chew gum ferociously at night just to try to distract myself. But the weight was coming off, so I stayed committed to it. And then I got pregnant with my son, got back on it after him, got back down, just did the bouncing back and forth, because like I said, it was expensive and it was uncomfortable, but it was effective. So I always knew if I had to lose weight or wanted to lose weight, I could easily go back to that. So I did that and yo-yoed really from about 2003 till 2019. I did that. So the start of 2019, a friend of mine introduced me to the idea of keto. She had done it, but she was ultra clean keto. So she was telling me about, you can only eat grass-fed beef. You can only everything must be organic. And it had been effective for her. And to me, it sounded more similar to what I used to do. It just sounded like too much, too strict, nothing I could handle. Then I followed a girl on the keto Instagram space, named Easy Peasy Bacon Greasy or something like that.
That's a great name.
She was great. And she had so much success, and she got me excited. Then I started following a few other people, and I thought, you know what, maybe I can do this. Maybe I've seen people are modifying this keto thing, and they're making it work for them. So maybe I can make it work for me. And then I started, like I said, I decided I would cut out all fruit, but I started with 1 apple a day. And I think probably had net carbs somewhere in the 60s to 70s range. The weight, it just started like falling off, like coming off so quickly that I was like, okay, this is working. So the way when I first started keto, the way I came at it was just kind of really broad. And then as time went on, I would always, and I say this, like I always try to keep like the tools in the back pocket. So I would only make a small change at a time. So I was still eating anything I could that would fit into that, what I had set for myself. I never really chased fat. or protein or anything like that. It was always about those net carbs for me at the beginning. And then I started funneling down and cutting things out. I mean, I did quit drinking alcohol completely, probably the first 6 months or so, because that was I wanted to eat my calories, right? So I didn't want to be drinking and wasting my calories on anything like that. So I started getting more and more strict until I got down to lower weights. And then I had to make change. I had to start, okay, now I've got to give that apple up. Now I've got to, get those net carbs down. And when I got those net carbs down, it just was a pretty straight line for me down that first year. It was almost exactly a year to the day, almost exactly, that I hit my goal weight on keto with just very little effort, I'd say. When I added exercise in during the beginning of the pandemic to keep my mind occupied, I started walking a lot, which led to running, which led to me being very, very, very strict, very low calorie. And I was getting back into that like 1,100 calorie a day type of a diet and exercising a lot. That got me down below my goal weight. And
so more back to the old mindset from the first, that weight loss clinic kind of brought you back there a little, you'd say?
Yes, exactly. And I think during some of my storying lately, it really did hit me that I think what I was doing was trying to cope with my emotions about my fears about like the current events in my family and what might be going on in my world. So I got very control minded about what I was eating, what I was exercising. I was tracking everything. I started just putting a lot of really strict measures into place just for no reason, just arbitrary, no reason, keep wanting to lose weight, keep losing weight, stay thin. I just wanted to feel thin and in control. And then I don't know at what point, I think it was when things started opening up again, I let go of that. And I started having more balance, I guess, and going back to a little bit more intuitive eating, which led to putting on some weight. And I've still kept off a huge majority of the weight I lost, but those lower weights, like I don't think I can maintain that with balance right now.
Right.
So,
well, if you think about it, the way you got to the lowest weight, which you just, if I understood you correctly, it was more of the mindset of the extreme, like you had years ago. So maybe you had to go through it to learn, hey, maybe that's the balance. And you found the balance, and that's exciting.
Right. And I feel right now, yes, I could probably lose a few, or really I'd like to be more in shape. So I think that has to come from exercise. You can't do that with food. But right now, I don't want to go on that spiral again. When the number I'm chasing, that low number on the scale, is very arbitrary. I don't know why did I decide that? Like, why is this weight not okay?
We have an entire episode of where that comes from and what drives us to make those choices. And oftentimes when we get to this point, we ask that, like, why is that such a fixated point? And I think it comes back to just like how we're taught as children, like you need to make a goal and you're not successful until you reach that goal. Anything less than that is not meeting the goal.
Right.
The number is driven by society, for me, what I really found is from my childhood and the stars and what was considered beautiful at the time. The standard of beauty is what I created. This standard of my own beauty, which doesn't have anything to do with one another, really doesn't. My body doesn't look like theirs. I don't know why I thought that I would want to be that. I'm my own person. I have to figure out what that looks like for me. But that's common in our space to decide something without really having any information or any knowledge or any like directive as to where that number comes from or where we decide to get this idea. So
exactly. I don't know why I think I need to weigh at 47. Why do I need to weigh what I did when I was 16?
You do not.
You're talking to to the choir or whatever they say, because I went through that as well. And it took me a long time to realize, wait, why am I even trying to do that? Why? I don't know. But you also mentioned the one of the diets that you did with the clinic had you between 900 and 1,100 calories. I literally just this morning was thinking about the whole 1,200 calories and where do we pull that from? And I realized I pulled it from my very first diet, I should say, since as an adult, I should say. I mean, I starved myself. I took pills. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like some sort of plan was the 21-day fix. And in the chart, it was $1,200 to $1,499. Well, of course, I'm going to pick the 1,200 because I want to lose the weight. So I just
right. The highest
automatically,
deficit.
and
That's
here
where
again,
we
like
go.
you
Yeah.
said about the girls at the clinic, this is Beachbody coaches. They're just sharing the pamphlets of what they got. It's pulled from somewhere, and then it gets in our heads, and then we think that's what we're supposed to do.
We believe it, and we think it's a rule of some sort that we need to follow, or it's standard,
it's the guideline. And I think it's like you said, never go below 1,200 calories.
Yes.
So that was the baseline, 1,200 calories. There. Okay.
So that's what we picked.
I'm not going to have more than that and lose weight more slowly. Why? That doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
And I think
that's logical, really.
Think, oh, well, you can't go less than 1,200. So 1,200 should be the standard because
that's the baseline.
I mean, anything more than that, it's going to take longer to lose it. 100%.
Right.
100%.
That's what we think.
Why? And I grew up with a mom, grandmothers, and, well-meaning, but, we think we're weight obsessed. They were just vocally weight obsessed.
Yes.
I mean, it was, how's your cousin? Oh, she's good. She's really skinny. She's a size 2. Or, oh, how's great Aunt Martha? Well, she put on some weight. It's like one of the qualifiers when you describe someone is their size and their weight. And it was such an obsession. And like you said, in pop culture, you had your Kate Moss types and your, that were just so thin. And my mom was the professional dieter as well. So I was watching her doing Atkins and
my mom as well.
Everything, fat-free cheese, fat-free butter, like
chemicals on chemicals. Yes.
Chemicals. And that is just the culture in which I grew up. So it was important to me as an adult to try to match that.
Isn't that wonderful that you then found keto? And I know for myself, I always say this, whether I stay keto for the rest of my life or not, I will always be happy to have found keto because I learned so much than I ever
about
learned
food and everything.
About so much. So talking back to your keto journey, one of the reasons I loved following you is because you were keto-ish. And I was like, oh, we share the same mind with that. Like we can't say we're keto, but we're not going to
kind of keto. My
kind of keto. That was
journey
it.
Or something was my first handle.
Yes.
Yeah. And until I really realized, no, I'm full-fledged doing this. I'm in ketosis.
Isn't
I'm
that
actually
something?
Keto, and I wanted to come up with something. The other thing was I felt very private about it when I started. I didn't want anything in my name to be in my handle. I didn't want anyone to be able to look me up, or I didn't even get a picture of an avocado or something. I didn't even want
me
my
too.
face. I was very, very shy about it, which is silly. I mean, you should be, you shouldn't be ashamed of trying to better yourself, but it felt weird.
It feels exposed. Yeah, it feels like you're exposed
anonymous. Yeah. And I certainly could not have storied if I knew friends and family were following at that point.
Right.
But we did. Yeah, we connected on that because I realized you can kind of half do this and still lose weight. Right. So we all know there's a big difference between being in ketosis and being low carb. And we use both interchangeably, but I mean, at first I was like, I can't do it, but let's see what I can do. And I started with just baby steps.
And that's such an inspiration to so many, though, because you have shared your journey along the way. You've been very vocal, very transparent, just very vulnerable and very honest. And what do they say? Like an open book. Authentic, all of
very
these.
Authentic, always sharing good or bad. Jenni, you always share, no matter what's going on, you always connect with your audience in the most authentic way in your feelings. If you're angry, if you're sad, if you're beaming with pride, you've never held anything back. And I think that, that's a big reason why the community just loves you so much.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, that's one of the best compliments I could get, is to be told that I'm authentic, or I come across as authentic. It was never helpful for me to watch people just succeed. It made me sometimes it turns that camera back on yourself, makes you feel worse about yourself. Like, why do they make it look so easy and I'm struggling? I'm doing it wrong. I'm not capable. I can't handle this. And what you're saying is exactly true. Whenever I post, this week's been a rough, bumpy week for me. As far as my weight loss journey has gone, and I had a lot of days of frustration, and I shared that, and I've gone on every day and shared, and I get a lot more responses and thank yous in private messages from people saying, wow, it really helps me really, really helps me to know that like you struggle too, that I look at you, you know, I met my goals, I did it, I've maintained most of my weight loss, and that I still have those horrible days and I get frustrated and angry and think, well, screw this stupid diet. It doesn't work. Like,
It's so relatable. It
like,
is, but it's
well,
true.
maybe it does, but I'm mad. I'm throwing a tantrum today. So I think just the feedback I get is what keeps me being honest, because I get so much positive feedback when I share my struggles, almost more than when I share my successes.
Isn't that
People
something?
reach out and say thank you.
I can
love
see
that.
that being a
Yeah,
big
because it
thing.
makes people feel connected and like they're not
Right.
alone. And that's what we seek here in this community,
That's
right? We want
exactly it this morning. Yeah, I got
the
someone that
connection.
said, thank you so much. Your story makes me realize I'm not alone. And we're not.
Isn't that
That's a powerful
amazing?
statement. Yeah. From coming
Mhm.
from, you know, maybe not necessarily a stranger, but kind of, right? That's a
Right.
powerful statement for someone to reach out and say, hey, wow, I watched your story and it moved me. I mean, that's an amazing gift to be able to contribute to your community. Do
Mhm.
you think that that is one of those things that pushes you to contribute to the community, to share and to try to help even more people, reach more
Yes.
people
Yes.
because of that feedback?
Yes, 100%. That's exactly this. I would not be where I am right now if it weren't for this community, because I think,
Same.
you know, exercising, dieting with a buddy, right? They always
Yeah.
say it's more motivating. And I'm sure we've all had experiences in our lives where you have a best friend or a neighbor and you start off on a journey together and someone drops off, right?
Yeah.
Or some, you know, they fall off. But this community, very few people drop off, and when they do, there's still 1,000 other people that
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
engaging with that are still doing it. So this, surrounding yourself with a community of people that are like-minded in their goals, first of all, is very motivating to me. But as far as
Yeah.
the piece of giving back and trying to help others, that's just one of the most satisfying, fulfilling things I've done. You know, we always say like, oh, I want to give back, or you love that feeling of giving, and like I have gotten, this is like a bottomless well of that, I guess. I just am constantly getting this good feedback and people telling me I'm helping them. And some days when I don't want to do it anymore, I do it for them, because it's like people
Oh,
counting on me, or I don't want to let people down, or I want to show people that you can have hard times without quitting and keep going, right?
Yeah.
And that's also, you know, another thing I'm always trying to drive home is that maintaining a weight loss is an enormous victory. There's not only pride to be had in constantly moving down,
yeah.
but maintaining is huge. So when people are mad that they've stalled, like I'm always trying to respond.
Like you haven't gained it all back. Yeah. You're in a wonderful
Yeah.
position. Right.
So say I lost 20 pounds, I can't lose anything else. And the first thing I'm going to say is congratulations on
Yes.
losing
Yes.
and maintaining 20 pounds. Like that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I think that something that sticks out here for me is, you know, Molly and I have recently talked about this, is one of the real signs of growth and healing is giving back to your community, because you've done the work and you know how hard it is. And it propels us to help others, because once we have really done a lot of this work and you know how hard it is, the burden of helping others, it doesn't become such a burden anymore. Like you said, it's almost like a gift that you want to give.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like, you know, you've done so much growth and mindset work, even beyond just the scale. Like that's so, it's almost small at this point compared to what you give your community, what you contribute, and how you make people feel. And so, you know, that's like a whole nother component of wealth, right? Is like, once we start working on our physical sense and our bodies and our meals and all these things, there's like this whole other world. And what can come out of it is giving back to your community.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
it's such a powerful thing to be able to give to people. It's such a big gift. And I think you do that. I mean, you've got your blog.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about that at all, what made you want to, you know, create a space for people to go and what's on there?
Yeah, that was an old blog that I had years back when I had started working as a makeup artist for Clinique. And I thought it would be fun to have a blog about makeup. So it's sitting there. And what I have on there is a post about my weight loss journey, the things I talked about today, and just kind of where I came from, where I'm at. And then I do have a 10 steps to getting started it's pretty comprehensive. So, well, it sounds easy, 10 steps. I'd like to elaborate on that and maybe do a little series or something on my stories about it. But I just try to share how I did it, how I got started, so that people who are overwhelmed for coming into the space saying like, oh God, too much what's macros and I can't do this. And there's just so much. Information. It's like the easy way to start keto. That's the best way I can describe it. But I have some resources in there too for people.
I personally admire more. I admire someone who's experienced and shares their experience to help others than someone who's, been trained in it and got a certificate and then they're teaching others, because I feel like the one that has experienced it, you're not trying to you're not trying to prove anything. Yes. Yeah. And there's such more of just, I appreciate that so much more. And I find that I look for that now more. Of course, there is some good stuff, when people are professional and they know what they're talking about, but these days it's kind of hard to know what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
So you do have to, like we always say, be your own experiment, work through it yourself, see what works for you. Then you went beyond that, saw what worked for you, it worked, then you share. And that right there is the community. And we just always are telling people the first thing, get in a community. I think you do the same thing. Because I've looked at your blog before. Is that one of your recommendations?
Yes, that's one of the first things that I think it's critical. Whether you share or not, you don't have to share. And like I said, there's always the option of having a second account if you don't want to share with the audience of your friends, families, coworkers, whatever it might be. But sharing and getting the feedback, following other people who aren't selling anything. And I'll say that over and over too. Don't buy anything. You don't need to pay to do keto. There's nothing. And the blog, let me say that too. There might be advertisements on there.
She's like, they're not mine. Those are not mine.
They are not mine. So you just have to have that. Someone messaged me and said, okay, now which of the plans should I pay for? That I clicked on? And I'm like, no, don't do it.
Like none of them. Did you read the steps?
No. But like you said, it's hard to really anything. These people that are professionals are usually selling something. They're selling.
And you're a book. You're just a book, ABC. You're not an individual person for a lot of them. They're just going to mark in the numbers, figure it out. And this is what you need to do. But maybe it's not. Maybe there's more. Just like with your doctor, when you tell your doctor I have this ailment, then you can think, well, we'd like other options, but no, here's the medicine. So it's like, let's dig a little deeper. Let's see more, and so following people that have been through it, experienced it, had success. Hey, go listen to them. What did they do, and get an idea and then experiment for yourself.
Absolutely. And we know you guys are good about that too, but always being clear, explaining to people that what works for me might not work for you. And I've experimented and I'm going to continue to experiment. There might be things I try down the road that everybody's doing that I haven't tried yet.
You're evolving too.
Yeah, you have to constantly keep evolving. And anyone who wants just a checklist really of how do you do it, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work like that. And it can change too as you get through your journey. And you've seen this and I've seen this.
I'm seeing it right now.
The things that you did.
This is how I ate and the weight fell off and now my body's like, nope.
Yeah. And that happens over time as you master one part of this. Other factors can change or will have to change in order for you either to maintain or to lose. Or, I mean, like for me, exercise is one of the things that I've probably made the most important. And I started this just like you in the pandemic. I was already exercising, but it was my sense of control during the pandemic. It was, there was nothing else to do either. We were home. So, I started becoming like extra focused. I've always been in the gym since I started really, because it's something I did years ago and it kind of followed into this lifestyle. But during the pandemic, I mean, I hunkered down. And I'm not quite as focused as I was back then either. And I know that could I ramp all of that up and maybe lose like the extra whatever or more? I could, but just like you, it wasn't really balanced when I look at it. It didn't really, it doesn't really fit into my lifestyle now where I'm working all the time and we have this podcast and we have children and vacations and all these things that doesn't work. So there are things that I even have changed over time that I didn't think that I was going to need to go back to and say, oh, wow, that really worked. But now that's not even possible for me. And that doesn't make
Right.
sense.
That's a really
So
good point. You make a really good point when I look back at my own journey of being thin during the pandemic. Like, we can't shut down our lives. Hopefully that never happens again.
yeah,
But we were in a very unique position to focus on ourselves in a way that we
Yeah.
normally can't. And some people handled it one way, some people handled it
Yeah.
different ways. That's the way I handled it. I dove in, I did the things for myself. And now it's a struggle to give those things that same attention when
Yeah.
life has opened
So
back
many
up
other
again.
things
So
to do. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think
So
it's
just
also
trying to find the
shown,
balance has been hard.
yeah. And I think it's also shown us that, yes, that was a time to work on ourselves and be present. But were there things that prior to all of that happening that we weren't doing, that we were focused solely on the outfits or the clothes or getting into things that we gave up life for? Because I know for me,
You're right.
I'm not saying no to anything. So if that means I have to be a few extra pounds because I'm going to eat this meal and I'm going to enjoy this event and I'm just not going to think about that. That for me is something I do think I needed, was that understanding of, yes, you can be strict and yes, you can do the work and all of those things, but is that really sustainable for life? And are you always going to say no to everything? I do think there's a time for it, but the pandemic made me realize when everything was taken away from me that I did not want to live like that. So that's a giant change in mindset that I did not have prior to that experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I haven't been able, I feel like a failure not being able to go back to that 100% mindset when I think 90-10 is probably what's going to work for me. And if that means I'm not going to be itty bitty, then that's fine. Right.
Well, I mean, not that you need any compliments from me because you're gorgeous, but I mean, you look amazing. You tried on your clothes the other day.
Oh, yeah. So cute.
Everything looks so cute and it looked great on you. I know for yourself that other people's opinions really don't matter, but I mean, you've done an amazing job. I've seen your before and afters. Your before and afters, this body that you're currently in now from your before is still a major change.
Oh, I would have been thrilled to be in this body. I mean, I would have been in tears if you told me this was what I was, and now here I am going, wah, wah. So it's just that ever shifting perspective that
but
so frustrating.
But you clearly bounce. You don't just stay in the want. You are bouncing, because I've heard you say there was a time I would have wished to be. This is the mindset stuff and
the work.
So and you've even, you mentioned to us about the past and the 900 to 1100 calories and the extreme, and that you even said during the pandemic you got a little extreme with the running and the less calories.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a healthy balance. That, but it's you have that, it sounds like you have that fight struggle of, but you did it, you did do this, you could do it again, but maybe you don't need to do it again. Maybe it's about embracing where you are. Maybe you're where, like you shared this, you said someone talked about, what was it? The weight point or set point?
Set point.
Yes. That was very insightful. Thank you for sharing. Again, the community, we get to learn things that we never heard of. I'd never heard of that. That made sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think we all have those numbers.
True. I've had that number and I shared a little chart of what those numbers have been. You can reduce what your set point is, but right now my body it's amazing. My behaviors, how no matter what I do right now, I know I'm being dramatic with my words, it's hyperbole, but when I'm really strict and I'm exercising, I'm this weight. If I just go off the rails and have popcorn and a roll and whatever, I'm this weight. And I'm struggling with embracing it. Or I don't think I need to get to where I was during the pandemic. And I know I don't have the time or emotional or mental energy to put into staying there. I'd like to get down closer to what my original goal weight was, but I have to try to focus on being happy where I am now, because I do have really good balance in my life right now.
That's
and
awesome.
Eating
That's what's most important.
I'm doing like you said, Ashley. My son wants to go to our favorite restaurant and I would have said no. But now I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Right.
Well, now I don't need to eat 4 pieces of pizza, but I can have one.
But you can have one
side salad
for sure.
To have these memories with my children. And
absolutely. That is something that I had tunnel vision when I started. I had tunnel vision during the pandemic. There is a time and a place for it. 100%. It's sometimes so necessary to be in that space because otherwise you won't get over the next part of this journey to get yourself into a place where you make it a lifestyle if you don't have tunnel vision for a certain amount of time. But what people don't talk about is how do you get out of tunnel vision and really transition to, this is my life. I have to have this be a space where I enjoy everything that I want to enjoy. That means that sometimes I pick and choose. Sometimes I'm not going to indulge in everything, but the things that really mean something I'm going to do, which before I would absolutely say no, and I would avoid. I just wouldn't go. I would say I had things going on. I'd be like, I have to go to the gym, so I can't do this or that. And now it's like, you know what? I can alter my schedule. You know what? I'll just do this instead. Like, it's that transition is so hard to get to a place where you're letting things in your life, but you're trying to be mindful and you're still like grappling with not going back to the old mindset. This is a hard place to be in, and people don't really talk about it that much.
It really is. It's the losing the weight when you have the tunnel vision is easy. When the tunnel vision is there and it's set,
nothing can get to you.
Nothing. Yeah. You're just absolutely like Teflon. It's just all bouncing off. Like nothing's going to derail you. And then when you get to the finding balance maintenance part, you're starting just not from scratch because you've learned
a new journey,
but it's a whole new journey. And it was really glad. And I'm glad you shared a lot too through the holidays about the things you were just talking about making a conscious choice. Like, guess what? This is grandma's special recipe or whatever.
100%.
And I'm going to have it because this is a special thing in my family. And really being mindful of not letting those things become, well, my kids really like ice cream, so I'm gonna have ice cream every night. So
that's really hard.
Right.
Doing those things at the beginning really can make things more difficult. So I still would stand by saying, trying to keep a little bit of tunnel vision during the initial phases of the weight loss journey. Really learn what your body reacts to, and then when you get to the end, you'll have a whole pile of tools that you've gained and things that you've learned along the way. But this maintenance stuff is tough, very tough.
Well, it's harder
than I expected.
It's your new journey. And you're going to learn and you're going to share, and we're going to learn from you.
I will. And I'm going to fail and I'm going to get mad and I'm going to throw tantrums.
But then we get to see it all and get hope that one day we can do it too. And we'll
inspiration.
Expect.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, no, we'll have realistic expectations on how it goes.
Yes, that's what I want. I want people to know that you don't necessarily hit your goal weight and you're done. That's it. You feel great about yourself. There's a lot of things that'll pop up.
Yeah, that's going into, what I call diet retirement. It's like, it's no longer the tunnel vision. You're retired from that, but how do we continue on it? How do we stay focused? How do we not let the little things in that turn into total, derailment of the journey? You think you just have to get to the spot that you're in. You don't think about like, oh no, this is a restart of something I've never experienced. And that's a weird place to be after doing it for so long.
It's like a sink or swim being thrown in deep water. Like because when you're on the dieting part and you're in the weight loss, the tunnel vision part, you have guidelines, you have a crutch, you have something to hold you in. And then when you get to the end and you're just out there, and you're just flailing around and you don't have those guidelines, the rules, and you have to create it for yourself. It takes a lot to really be consistent.
Yeah, I like the way Ashley calls it diet retirement, because if you think about someone who's worked for 40 years and they retire, sometimes they feel lost. It's like, what do I do now? It's all brand new again. And then you're supposed to enjoy retirement, but you kind of have to figure out how to enjoy retirement. So I would think it's
without having to go back to work.
Right. Yeah, some of us pick up part-time jobs, more exercise for me. Well, this has been such a special episode. Jenni, thank you for joining us today and sharing all your truths. I know that this is going to help so many people in our community. And there were so many people that wanted to hear from you. Yeah. They voted for you. And we love that we were able to give the people what they want. So yes, thank you so much for just sharing your heart and always being an inspiration in our community and somebody who supports and loves others.
You're very welcome. It was an absolute pleasure being with you girls today. I loved it and I will be happy to come back anytime. And I really hope anything I said could help anyone, but I appreciate that you guys just allow me to be myself and keep supporting me in that.
Of course.
Awesome. We had a blast. Jenni. We love you, Jenni.
We love you, Jenni.
I love you, ladies. This is so fun. Such an honor.
Now, you see how much we love Jenni. We met her on Instagram. So we're going to give you her handle here in the description. We're going to put her blog and her Instagram handle. So you can go follow her. You can be inspired. You can learn why we love her so much in the community. And we thank you, Jenni. Thank you so much. We'll see y'all on the next episode. Thank y'all for listening.
Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Take care.
Bye.
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 Thanks for joining us today. You can find and connect with us over on Instagram at More Than Just Keto. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss out on the fun. We'll see you next time.